right. We have no minutes to approve, correct,
true.
Mr. Johnson, because this is our first meeting of this newly convened group. Do we have anyone signed up for public comments germane to today's agenda?
No, Chair.
All right. And I believe, are we on CTV? Do we know?
I'm not sure that it's recording.
Okay, all right. Well, I just want to let people know so they're on their best behavior. Thank you. Thank you to our folks in the audience that have come to attend this meeting today. We have no reports of officers or subcommittees at this point, and no reports of special committees. Is that correct?
Yes.
No special orders?
Yes.
And any unfinished business?
You're brand new.
Brand new,
So
all
it's
right.
all new.
Let's start. So we're going to launch right into agenda item number 9, new business, and this is where it's going to slow down for us. I'm glad I could rock through that real fast. And now we're going to slow down. Agenda item number 9A, we have proposed public comment rules that are in your packet. So if you will look at those, and I had it open a moment ago. Oh, Mr. Johnson, it doesn't want to work.
It's right here for you.
Oh, you gave me print.
Yes.
Look at that.
Analog.
Oh, okay. So we have 5 proposed, these are
Page 2 of 19.
2 of 19 in your packet, so flip back. Yes, proposed policy, hold on, let me get back to that. Proposed public comment rules. The first one, we'll just go through them in order. Persons wishing to speak may, is that?
There's a typo.
Okay, thank you. Phew, I'm like, am I doing that? May sign up, that should be may, by phoning or emailing the city council office. Sign-ups may also be made in person before the meeting. That's pretty standard across the board for many of our committees. Does anybody have any comments or question about that rule? Mr. Johnson, do we need to have anything specific in that rule about until the beginning of the meeting? It says before the meeting. Is that specific enough? I
The
guess?
next line item addresses that.
The list of speakers closes once the meeting is called to order. Everybody okay with that rule? Want to add anything to it? Persons wishing to speak will provide their name, address, and agenda item topic they wish to speak to. Go ahead. Councilman Grant, turn your mic on.
Sorry. So we'll be on that item already, right? When a person is being called up to speak?
No, this is public forum.
Oh, so this is public forum.
Just to clarify, these are rules for this committee only. You're adopting a rule about public comment just for this committee. It's kind of weird. This is a rule for you, but you're setting rules for city council. So just to make that really clear.
Well, I'm going to double check then, because I thought that this was us assessing the rules as they would be applied to public forum no.
This is just for people appearing before this committee?
This committee.
Yes.
These rules are for this meeting.
Okay.
We have to establish our own rules to even create new rules for other meetings. This is.
And to, as Chair was saying, these rules were copied from the task force that met last year, and these are also the rules that the audit committee has adopted for its meetings.
Okay. So these rules worked during your work last year? And
Yes.
Councilwoman Helsley and former Vice Mayor Smith were on that committee, and these were the ones you operated
And we did
with?
have people sign up to speak, so.
Okay.
And
Every meeting, or?
not every meeting.
Yeah,
but,
how often did that happen?
Maybe twice.
Okay.
But nothing broke. And
Y'all met for about 10 months, so you had about 10 meetings,
Yeah,
Thereabouts.
yeah.
ballpark? Okay.
Was there ever, I mean, with the number of people that signed up to speak, was there ever
It
an
was
issue?
like, I think 1 per meeting, maybe 2 one time.
Okay.
But this worked. And just some of these rules are a little different than your council rules in that there's, like, for example, there's a cutoff at 4 PM for the council meeting, I believe. Is that still the case for public
Yes,
forum?
yes.
But that's because there's a lot of people calling in and there's a
Yeah.
big deal. This, we don't have anybody today and probably won't have a lot. So, yeah, these rules worked for that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions about the intent, purpose, and use of the rules? All right, the next one is up to 3 speakers are allowed on each agenda item. Okay? And then up to 2 minutes are allowed per speaker. Okay? Mr. Johnson, we can also revisit these rules, or we can suspend the rules as well, correct?
Yes to both.
Okay.
Yep.
So if for some reason we have some hot button issue and there's more than 3, or we want to let multiple people speak and change the time or anything like that, we could change our rules.
Yes.
Okay.
Just.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, what are the rules for the audit committee in terms of the time frame to speak? Is it 2 minutes as well, or is it 3?
Yeah, it is 2 minutes as well. This is copied directly from the audit committee rules.
Okay, so audit committee is 2 minutes too?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Mr. Johnson, do we need to vote and have a motion to adopt these?
Please, yes.
All right. Anybody?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further comment or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Ayes have it. Well, this is like getting back on a bicycle. I can do it. All right. What'd you say? I know. I mean, I've been retired. I'm put out to pasture. Okay. Next is, on our agenda is 9B, review of amendments to the rules adopted by City Council on September 30th, 2025. This is going to be a refresher for Smith and Helsley and new for Grant, Adams, as myself to some degree. So, Mr. Johnson, you want to lead that discussion?
Glad to. So, committee, this begins on page 3 of your packet. And these are the rules that the previous task force considered over those past 10 months in 2025 and were taken up by City Council upon the recommendation of the task force and were eventually adopted as it referenced on September 30, 2025. So we'll just start going through. This is a red line version, so you can see the changes versus the original language. And I do plan on stopping, and of course, committee members, we can stop and pause if there are concerns you want to raise, now, or we can do that later at subsequent meetings. The first item would be an order of business, rule number 2 under memorials, and I'm going to go ahead and pause here already because this has been an issue that we did not clarify sufficiently. This covers memorials, and we recently had one with the passing of Diane Jordan, and we heard at this stage, but City Council did, this past meeting also honored Honor Air. It did not appear on the agenda under this section, but it should have, or at least that was the intent of council and the task force, but it would be great if we could change this language to indicate that we also intend for honorary resolutions to appear here also. That's why you all moved at your last meeting. We moved that honor air resolution to this point in the agenda. So that's something that I've seen being an issue in our meetings.
So does it need to be just called memorials and honorariums, or
I think that would.
just honorariums?
Can I ask a question? When the agenda is assembled, who and how are those, like the honoring of Diane Jordan, how did it not end up under memorials?
No, Diane Jordan did. It was
Oh,
the
it was
honor.
the honor air.
Honor air did not. And other,
It ended up under resolutions?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think,
As
Okay.
far as language, I think honorariums would capture it, or honorary resolutions, memorial and honorary resolutions would capture it.
honorary resolutions
And the purpose of pulling up to the top is so those folks can go home.
and not sit.
Yes, I mean, at this last meeting, it would have meant the honorary people having to sit through an appeal, the CARE Cuts appeal to be specific, if this didn't exist.
Okay.
I guess, is it too soon to make the last time when amendments were made to these, they were made all in one bundle at the end?
Yes.
But I think that's we can see where we're at the end of this. But I think that's one that maybe we might not wait and we could get to a council agenda sooner than later. Because it came up in late 2025 too. There was another
Yes.
time when I was still on council that,
Yeah.
was an issue. I don't remember what it was, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's something this committee can consider is how soon do you
Okay.
want to report out? Or do you want to hold them for later?
Okay, all right, keep moving and I'll make a note of that and we'll touch on it before we
Okay.
leave.
Under consent, so we kind of cleaned up some language here. It talks about, it defines what consent is, and it makes it clear that a single member of council can remove an item from consent, and I think council's getting more comfortable with doing that and getting more familiar with it. It also clarifies that when a person signs up to speak with me, with my office, on an item that is on the consent calendar, that I'm to report that at council. So make an announcement when we get to the consent before you all, approve them all, to let council know someone is signed up to speak on this. If you want to hear from them, council will have to remove it from consent for that person to be heard. So that provision is in here. Otherwise, it will be approved and that person won't get a chance to speak. We made a clarification about grants appearing on the consent calendar, that it's the authorization to apply for and the acceptance of grants, covers both situations. They took out the setting of a public hearing date from consent items. The next item was ordinances. We clarified that ordinances on second reading that were approved by unanimous vote at the first reading would appear on consent at the next meeting. And that happens routinely. Throughout this document, we cleaned up language and we removed Metropolitan Planning Commission. We just reference it now as Planning Commission, took out Metropolitan. We also, we added the community improvement funds, those 202 funds that City Council gives out to community organizations and neighborhoods. We put that under consent. One item that we are still adding on consent, because it's such a long-standing custom but we missed adding it here, is that the certificates of compliance for wine and grocery stores and liquor stores, we didn't add that to here. It should be added, so we're continuing to do it. It's still appearing on the consent calendar, but it probably should actually appear here in writing.
So we've just done it out of custom.
We have.
Okay. So it would be like, it would be in the order, right?
Sure,
It
we
wouldn't be
could-
number 16. We'd have to renumber all of these.
It could be number 4. Well, it would be a resolution. I'm sorry, I missed it. It should be a resolution. So it would be number triple I, if you will, number 3, if we added it. We don't, to be fair, we don't normally have to worry about the numbering.
Okay,
The codification people will take care of
Okay.
figuring that out.
okay. So it would be, as we see it right now, it would be 1 triple I or?
Yeah.
Or 4? Oh, it
It
would
would-
be, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. All right.
Are we adding that?
Sure.
I think that we should.
Yeah. That seems like it would be non-controversial for us to, yeah, okay. Y'all just didn't discuss it the last go-round? Oh, Councilwoman.
No, I've
Adams.
only turned this on so you could hear me, but
Okay.
yes, I was concurring with everything.
Okay. All right, Mr. Johnson, you have a note of that.
Okay. Continuing on, the next item was 7, so that we broke out the councilmember reports. We wanted to hear from, or council wanted to hear from council members serving on committees or boards first, and calling that out, and then next hear from council members making announcements about things going on in their district and the neighborhoods, things of that nature. So just separating those out.
I do have a question on this one.
Yeah.
Because thus far, we've only had Nathan speak about the pension board, and I think there's been one audit committee meeting since we began. So can you just list what other boards or committees would be appropriate to be shared at that time?
Yes, so City Council has this committee, Public Property Naming Committee, the Golf Course Advisory Committee, the Audit Committee. It's not a committee of council, but we do have a person serving on it, so that's a good example. Yeah. So KTA, we have a representative on KTA. Planning, or not planning, what's the Transportation Planning Organization? TPO. Yeah, TPO. Council has a representative on PTO.
TPO?
TPO.
Who's on
excuse me.
TPO?
Debbie is,
Okay.
or Councilwoman Helsley, sorry.
So CTA, CAT, pension, audit, rules, TPO, naming, golf.
PPNC for naming.
Yeah.
A lot of those don't require monthly reports. I mean, if nothing's happening.
Yeah, golf is twice a year.
If nothing's
Golf.
happening, you don't need to talk.
Yeah, golf meets
Like-
twice a year.
And
Not like, hey, we
PPNC
met.
is
Yeah.
Meets as
ad
needed.
hoc. Is that
Yeah,
what
very,
you call that?
very ad hoc.
Okay.
Would this apply to like CAC and, things like that the city does have partnerships with? So like if
It says committees or boards.
Well, the report would need to
not
come
a
from a
city.
member of council.
Yeah.
So we don't have anybody serving from council on CAC's board.
Yes, you do.
we do.
Me.
Yeah, but it's not, is it a designated council seat or just?
Yes.
You, Debbie, are doing? it?
No, it's
Okay.
council seat.
All right, there you go.
I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
I thought
like
you knew
that.
everything.
Zoo. I mean,
I'm so disappointed I'm leaving.
The zoo would be one.
Yeah, the zoo would be one.
Thought of another one.
Okay, so the point is that is the point in the agenda where any and all, you know.
if there are any
things we-
updates.
If there are, exactly,
are.
thank you. If there are
Right.
updates, I mean, it's not like, yeah, we met and, we don't have anything to tell you.
Community media.
Yes,
got
yes,
community,
that's a good example.
And IAMS?
That's not a council seat.
It's not a council-initiated seat. They do have a seat for council, but it's not an approved, like, I guess unless the vice mayor or some other person assigns you, that's where I would try to limit them.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, did the vice mayor assign you to CAC?
No,
So I would suggest maybe that falls outside of.
probably.
if the
I
vice
mean,
mayor-
and I think it's relevant. CAC does a lot of stuff, and if I had something that happened that I felt like people need to know, I'm more than happy to do that. But when you're just generally getting reports, standard reports, I don't
I think
think
it's
the
unless
community
it's in a-
cares about that.
Unless it's in a mayoral or council-approved seat, I think you should leave it off. That's a good guideline for.
Well, that chart that we got, right, that shows the hierarchy and all the committees that we have, there's like the subcommittees on the right side and like CAC, the zoo, they're all on there. And so with that being a public facing document, why can't we just, like for the zoo example, if there's an update, Debbie would just say something. If it's not, she just wouldn't say something. But and the same thing with CAC, even though it's not appointed by the mayor, we do business with CAC. So I would, if Debbie's on the board and there's something of relevance,
Well, if they were gonna have an event maybe or something,
Okay,
Oh.
so,
maybe do that.
I'm just seeking clarity to know
yeah,
where there are, because there are two categories that are really similar, like committees and boards and announcements. So which one,
yeah.
when I've got stuff to talk about, do I need to use?
So I will point out that what Councilwoman Adams is saying, number 7 reads, reports of committees or council members serving on committees or boards. That reads really strange to me, by the way.
well, and that's why I was saying,
It doesn't say appointments. It's like, for example, if you're on the Knox Heritage Board or you're on the
Dartwood
board
Arts.
of, I don't know, whatever
Right.
board you're on, right? And so I think what Councilwoman Adams is asking is for clarity as to whether it's appointments. And here's the thing, maybe we don't have to determine that today, but maybe that is something we want to ponder and think on. Mr. Johnson, you have a comment or you just want to make a note?
I was just going to say that the language alone, you're right, it leaves room for interpretation. I think I'm, having institutional knowledge that I have, I am The customs of council, I'm reading that into it, so I know what the custom is, and it's being fed through that lens of interpretation, so. But the language alone is unclear.
Okay, because general council member announcements, like, for example, if my neighborhood board or some other board that, like if I'm on the board of Young Williams, which is not a city appointment, I don't think, right? That might be where, I would say traditionally, historically, that's where I would make that announcement. Like, hey, it's Mardi Gras, because that's that. So how about this? Maybe if you have language suggestion, if you would give that to Mr. Johnson, and/or Mr. Johnson and I will come up with maybe a proposed language change, and we can come back at our next meeting and edit that one. That way we'll have a basis to, because that whole reports of committees, yeah, but they're all council committees, so, okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that, and I think
Okay.
that Councilman Grant, what he was saying also points to some of the confusion, because even before we were elected, we were asked about which committees or task force do you want to serve on? And there's a list that's posted on the city's website that does not match the list that Mr. Grant was referring to on a different PDF, which does not match this. So there's a lot of discrepancies.
No way, that's not happening.
Okay.
So, and then when you get to general council member announcements, so those get jumbled up a lot too, but that's, so you can announce anything. You could announce Mardi Gras even if you were not
Right.
on,
Right.
So just anything you thought might be pertinent, right?
Yeah,
Or that anybody might want to know about.
all right. All right, moving along.
Okay, continuing on, in section 12, we just took out memorials, so it would just be resolutions. And we removed the time limit for public forum from this section. It's addressed later here in the rules. It's kind of an inconsistency to contain a rule here at this time, so. Continuing on, I'm not necessarily going to go through the rules that the task force did not make changes, but there are rules that address other topics that are here. The next rule where there was a substantive change made is on page 6 of 19, rule number 10 concerning appeals. And this, of course, will have been very relevant to this past week's meeting, City Council, where we had the appeal from care cuts, or involving care cuts at least. And we've seen this play out. I don't think the past council, Councilwoman Ryder and Vice Mayor Smith experienced this in real time, but this current city council has seen it twice play out where each party has 15 minutes.
Oh, I went too far. Keep going.
Yeah, each party has 15 minutes to make their case, and they can divide their time how they choose. They don't need to call out, well, they do to identify themselves, but they can divide their time however they want to. That is, if that's for the proponent. If the opponent is named, as it was in the case of care cuts, they also have that 15 minutes. They can divide the time however they want to. If we ever have, and we will eventually have a case where the opponent is not named, but there are neighbors in the area who wish to be heard on an appeal, they can still be heard, but there's rules here that address that. They would have up to 15 minutes for up to 5 people at 3 minutes each. It lays out the period for a rebuttal, and it makes it clear that council can consider the appeal without a motion and a second on the floor. So that's what this section dealt with, and we've gone through 2 live examples since this was adopted.
Mr. Johnson, how did you perceive the process work for those 2 appeals?
I think it's working quite well from my perspective.
Okay, well, you've seen the before and after
have.
particularly, and have an extra layer of knowledge to all of these, so.
I think it's working fairly smoothly, and although I think the lawyers would beg for even more time, I
Yeah.
think they are largely satisfied
Okay.
with the changes thus far, but.
Okay,
well,
Yeah, I expected with the most recent one, because you can call in multiple people to speak in that 15-minute block, that's what we would be seeing, but that was not the case.
No,
And I think it's completely adequate.
I will say, as someone who was listening from their earbuds or ear things from afar, it was long.
Yeah.
But it was one individual. Typically, there's a format like this that's been used in the past or is part of the process for planning commission, and it's usually like 3 people break it up. So I think by seeing that there was one person willing to speak the last time, I think that also shows the number of people behind the appeal, maybe. But that's my thoughts. I was listening, not watching, so. Councilman Grant, you have any comments, or who's good?
I've sat in council meetings, watched the process, and now seeing it now, I think y'all done a great job.
All right.
Continuing on, onto page 7, regarding rule number 13, the agenda. This was a change that was made to have the agenda published 7 days prior to the meeting date rather than 4 days. So agendas used to be published on Thursdays prior to the meeting, and now they're published on Tuesdays prior to the meeting.
I cannot even imagine.
Now, listen, we lived through a lot, so y'all could, we
Thank-
crawled, so y'all could.
Thank y'all.
Yes,
Thank y'all so
run.
much.
Immense
I want to
thanks.
say, y'all owe actually Vice Mayor Fugit credit because she was like a dog with a bone, wasn't she, Tommy? She was not bowing to that. She said, they tried, the law department wasn't happy about it. And she just said, look, we're all working people. And we can't do like so we need the time. And she was pretty adamant. So kudos to her, wherever she may be right now, Girl Scout.
We did everything we could to make it easy for y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's true, they never got to experience it because it went into effect after you all were in office.
Yeah.
So,
Tell me all about it. All right, continue on.
yes. Continuing on into rule number 14. I'm going to skip some of the non-substantive changes. They were important to make, but they're
Language.
just language normally. Rule number 15, this was clearing up some language also that was out of date. It's also making it clear that the mayor can call for a roll call vote on her own volition if she's uncertain of the outcome, or they are uncertain of the outcome. But it also makes it clear that a single member of council can call for a roll call vote. That was really just putting in place what was already a custom, but it's putting it in the rules. And Councilman Grant, you were able to do that at this past meeting.
Yes, and in doing that, I had a thought in terms of when we do roll calls, like depending on what it is, right? If it's something that we're kind of like all agreeing on and we know it's going to be anonymous, but I think when there's dialogue and there's been enough of dialogue, is there a way we can just always do a roll call?
So you certainly can address that in a rule if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So I often will suggest to the mayor that a roll call might be necessary if I'm detecting that it's going to be a very close vote and a voice vote is going to be inconclusive, and we're going to have to do a roll call vote anyway. Whether or not you want to have a roll call vote, I'm not exactly how you would write that rule,
Okay.
but it's something to consider.
I liked the fact that you had the ability to do that in the most recent meeting, and am more comfortable with being able to do that than to have to do it. And I'm speaking from when Planning Commission was on Zoom, and we had to have a roll call for every single vote, and it really took forever. And there wasn't a qualitative difference being
We
made.
had, during COVID times when Mr. Johnson, was it about a year's time we were on Zoom? Yeah, we had every vote by state law, right? Had to be a roll call vote. And it was Councilman, Vice Mayor, whatever, Smith, whoever you are. I don't even know what to call us. Citizen Smith. Remember those days? Comrade, we lived through that.
It added probably 30 minutes collectively to the whole meeting.
And, yeah, poor Mr. Johnson had to do it. I think, so what this rule is saying, let's say there's a vote, and I'm not clear how the vote went down. Any council member can say, could you do a roll call? Is that correct?
Yes, in the example I was. Yes, in the example I was giving, Councilman Grant actually asked for it before council voted.
Okay,
Before.
okay.
And can you do it in either way? You can do it before or after?
I mean, that's how, in
I've
my
s-
experience, it's
Yeah.
gone.
I've seen
like
it
when
done
the-
after. I've seen it like, hey, can we go back and do that? Just
Because
to-
it's unclear.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I think the thing is, and Denzel and I were talking the other day, you can't necessarily hear the yes votes, but really all you need to do is listen for the no votes. Because if you're sitting there in another world and you don't vote, it's a yes. You've zoned out and not voted, Lauren, and Tommy, I'm sure, has too. I know I
I
have.
wasn't zoned out. I just
No, I'm
sometimes
saying
don't
you're reading
vocalize.
ahead. I don't mean zoned, but you're
I
reading
know
ahead.
it's-
Just don't say it out loud.
Hey, wait, you're looking at the next item and
Because
you
I'm in
just
the
forget
next
you don't
item and I
vote.
wasn't a no.
Yeah,
Right,
you're
right,
not,
right.
but it's not mean you're on no, you just didn't do it, and we've all done that.
I was very present for
okay,
8
okay.
years.
So, yeah, so if you just listen for the no's and the abstentions, then you kind of know where you are,
To
right?
answer your question, I do think you could ask for a roll call vote after a voice vote was taken. Yeah.
We could split the house if it really gets, really heavy duty. I mean, just kidding, I'm joking. Used to do that in union world, split the house.
All right.
Okay.
Next.
Continuing on, order of debate, and this is, we may spend some time here, but this is where most, sorry.
Sorry, it seems like item C says if the chair is uncertain. And what we were just talking about was if any of us were uncertain.
Yeah, a member can
It's a little
demand
bit up there.
a roll call vote, but also the mayor is empowered to call for a roll call vote if she's uncertain of the outcome.
It says the chair shall call for roll call upon the demand from any one member of council in B.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking it is because C, while it also specifies the chair, says if the chair is uncertain of the result of a voice vote, the chair can then do this afterwards. I just want to make sure that that doesn't obviate any member doing the same thing.
I don't think it does. If you want the language to be even clearer, we could do that.
Okay.
Continuing? Or
Yeah, I think that
you want the
to
language?
make it clear.
So it would say if the chair or any member of council is uncertain of the result of a voice vote. Okay.
That takes care of the before or after.
I might want to wordsmith that if that's okay with the committee.
Okay. So we could come back with it next time,
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, got it. All right, next.
Yeah, Rule 18, this is where the rules that govern council's debate, and also public comment live. So the first subsection A deals with council members' debate. And the first element that was taken out is that to do a motion on anything but land use, a motion and a second is required. Prior to this, council could deliberate on matters on the agenda without a motion and a second on the floor. Now it's required with the exception of land use issues. And the reason for that, I think, historically has been that council members sometimes want to hear from the neighbors, hear from the applicants, and may not know what their motion is going to be until later in the deliberations. So that's some of the context for that.
Can you add, what was the default Roberts rules associated with this? Yeah,
Yeah, there has to be a motion and a second.
yeah, so those are the default Roberts Rules of Orders that most governing bodies use. It wasn't just council likes it that way.
No, yeah.
Thank you.
What we were doing was the exception.
Yeah, thank you.
This is one I have a question on, and it's not necessarily a question about the way the rule is written, it's a question of understanding the process, because the way that we've been operating is to say, I make a motion to approve, someone seconds it, and then you can talk about things. But that, if I'm not wrong, means that you have made a motion to approve the item, and maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you want to make a motion to do something else with that item, but you also want to discuss it. And so you start with the approval as opposed to starting with the discussion.
You can also make a motion to deny, and a second is made,
And then discussion can happen.
yeah.
But again, for land use, you don't need a motion and a second. So as a rezoning, a sector plan amendment, an appeal, you don't need motions to deliberate on those. You've created an exception in your rules for those. So this would apply to resolutions, all resolutions that I can think of, aside from appeals, and amendments to the code, not the zoning code. Sorry, there's lots of exceptions.
And I think that, I appreciate that because a lot of times land use, there is just lots of discussion that needs to happen. And so it doesn't preemptively put you into one bucket.
Makes sense.
Continuing on to the next page, we're on page 9. There's lots of other rules regarding council member debate. No other changes were made here. There were many,
You mean page 7?
page 9 of the packet, sorry.
Oh,
Lower right-hand
9 in the
corner.
packet,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
There's 2 page numbers here, yeah. Under subsection B, these are rules that regard or pertain to public comment. And there's several changes we made here. Originally, we had, people were given 5 minutes to speak. It was reduced to 3. And there's also a rule that a person can only speak up to 3 items on any given agenda, with excluding land use issues. I think that's about the only, and public forum was also limited to 3 minutes per person, up to 30 minutes, which would give up to 10 persons an opportunity to speak at public forum. Previously, it was 6.
Is your light on because you wanted to say something, Councilman Grant?
Yeah, just with number 8, but William, you just answered it. So 10 people can sign up.
Up to,
Right.
yeah.
So what would you do if there was a topic where you had 12 people calling wanting to speak up?
So
public forum.
council can always suspend its rules to permit more speakers.
2 extra?
Sure.
Okay.
But technically, unless someone makes a move to suspend the rules, the last 2 don't get to speak. It cuts off at 10.
And that 10, as you mentioned, was an expansion from the previous 6. So more
Oh,
people
so more people,
can speak.
just a little less time.
Yeah,
Okay.
because, and we had a long dialogue about this, and it was about allowing for more different people to speak.
Right.
That was-
Versus
that was-
fewer people.
Yeah,
Fewer
that
people.
was the highest priority, was a lot more people can speak if they want.
Yeah. So hearing from more instead of letting people speak longer.
Yes.
Makes sense.
It was debated
Yeah.
and heavily.
There are no other substantive changes that the task force or council made. The rest of the changes that were made were cleanups, bringing archaic language up to modern era. That's about it for the changes that were adopted last year.
Okay. All right, so that sums up that review. Before we move forward to the next section of the agenda, oh, we're flying through this, it's 3:45. You guys are, what a committee, amazing work. Okay, I have one, so Mr. Johnson, I think we have 2 notes for things to bring back next time that might have some wordsmithing, correct?
Yes, but I
Oh.
I forgot some things that
Oh.
I should have brought up sooner.
I'm so sorry, go for
Well,
it.
that's my fault. Going way back, page 4 of the packet,
Good gracious. Which
This is
set
the
of pages? Packet page 4.
packet page 4.
Okay.
This is the agenda. This is consent. And this is clarification that planning and the law department have kind of asked me to advocate for. And this regards to ordinances to, rezonings which have been approved by planning commission and staff and no opposition was present. So the intent there was that, planning commission approved something and staff had also recommended approval and no opposition was present at the planning commission meeting, and that would be put on consent for council's consideration. What we had not considered is that sometimes the applicant requests a certain rezoning or a sector plan amendment, but their request is changed by the planning commission. And is that something that council also wants to be on consent when the request of the applicant is altered by the planning commission?
Let's walk that through with a
Yeah, I
little
was gonna
story.
say.
So, Planning Commission hears a case, the applicant wants RN6. Planning staff has recommended RN2. I'm just gonna make it really dramatic.
Sure.
And it goes through on consent, no discussion, no opposition is present. And since planning
planning
staff's, from Planning Commission, since planning staff's recommendation was RN2, that is what goes forward to council, which is RN2, even though the applicant wanted RN6.
Right.
And so the question is, do our rules want to simply pick that process up and have it be on consent?
Or
and
not.
And not have, wouldn't the applicant, if they were unhappy with that, be able to come and speak and ask to have it taken off of consent?
Yes.
So
So it's really not a problem.
it's not a problem, is my understanding. I'm curious what the law department wants to clarify, but to follow your scenario, the applicant could ask for it to be removed from consent. And council could do that, and council could even amend the decision by planning commission to take the
Right.
scenario a further step. So there's plenty to play with there, I think. Mr. Johnson, can you clarify what the law department's?
Yeah, I'm being a little bit of a mouthpiece here because
That's okay, you're just communicating what
Yeah.
they say, okay.
I think it's maybe an uncomfortability with interpreting this rule because it may be a little unclear in this scenario what the intent was
By whom?
by some law department staff, basically. They're unclear about what the intent was there.
The intent of the rule?
Yeah, the intent of the rule with respect to,
Let's read this rule, though. I'd like to read this rule out loud. Rezonings which have been approved by the planning commission and staff and no opposition was present. That in itself makes no sense. So sorry, it doesn't.
What do you mean?
Sure it does.
Yes, no, hold on. Rezonings which have been approved by the planning commission and staff. The staff doesn't approve of a rezoning. The staff makes a recommendation, and the commissioners make an approval. As an example, on your last
Yeah.
agenda, you had something on consent where the staff recommended one thing and the planning commissioners unanimously,
Changed it to something else.
no, they went with what the applicant asked for, not with what the staff recommended. And there was no opposition present. I'll put a period at the end of my sentence because I have things to say.
Yeah, so I think to go back a little bit.
That sentence in itself.
Yeah,
Are you just
I mean, I
wanting-
think you could strike and staff from that and
Okay.
given your distinction between recommendation and approval. So I think,
Approved by
and
the planning
theoretically, for this
commission.
discussion's sake, you could get rid of and staff. But-
Okay.
But I think I want to pause there to say, I think the intent was that if staff, commission, and applicant are all on the same page unanimously, it should be pretty rare that council needs to do something with it. So
Okay.
I think if that's the intent, as, Will, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's so what I remember is that if everybody's on the same page, let's not use council's time with reading it twice, over 2 periods of meetings. So whatever we need to do to amend the language, that's what the intent, I think, was.
So my question to you, former Vice Mayor Smith, is in the example from this past week where the staff recommended one thing, the commissioners voted unanimously the other way, or with the applicant, and
Yeah.
is
That's
that
different than
that's
what
different?
than what this is intended to be, excuse me.
Yeah, I see that scenario was one that came forward unanimously. And for that reason, or for some other reason, was put on consent. Could have been
was-
taken off by anybody, but it was on consent for a different reason. This seems to be addressing.
No, it was on consent because it passed planning commission unanimously. That correct,
The
Mr. Johnson?
unanimous is not a qualifier
But why was it on consent?
because staff and commission approved it and opposition wasn't present.
Staff never approves it.
Well, I mean, as I understand it, planning commission also makes recommendations. They're not approving anything
Correct.
that comes to council. They're all recommendations.
Okay, all
I mean,
right,
it's a quibble
Okay.
over language, maybe.
okay. But the reason that it was on consent is because of this rule right here.
Correct.
No one signed up in opposition to it. Okay, so,
I thought
but
I thought we added a unanimous to this.
That was with regards to the first reading, or second reading. When it's on second reading.
Yeah,
for the
but
first-
I thought, my memory's not my strong suit, but I think I thought that we added unanimous to this piece as well. Because, a 7-6 planning commission, this would allow for a 7-6 in favor planning commission vote. Where there was no one in opposition to speak, still goes on to consent. And that's a little,
But the one we just had was one where they changed it, right? And then it was on consent, the one you were talking about.
yeah, it's working, I guess my point is.
they didn't change it. They granted what the applicant requested
But
and did not go with what planning's recommendation was.
I think for this
right, but
scenario,
it was different as a point, and I don't. Go ahead.
Yes.
actually, I think you should take planning's recommendation out of this aspect. Planning staff. Because, I'll tell you why.
Did
It's
you?
not that it doesn't matter, it obviously is very important, as we've all know, but the consequence of the meeting, I think, is what should dictate in other aspects of how we treat things that go on consent. It's the consequence of the previous decision that is dictating and driving whether it goes under consent or not whether it had, staff's approval or not. It's, yeah.
I have a lot of things I could say that I probably shouldn't, because the one that I want to talk about is a ball still in the air.
Yeah. But, okay, but here's
So
the
maybe
deal.
I should speak in
And
hypothetical.
here's, just let me
Yeah,
add a little
sure.
more color from from
Sure.
this committee's
Sure.
work in the past.
Sure.
Council can always pull this off of consent. So we can get down in the minutia here about making it as seamless as possible, but one council member on request of neighbor X can pull this off and it goes right back to dialogue. So these rules are not meant to, and I'm not suggesting anybody's suggesting it, but these rules are not meant to solve everything. They're meant to provide majority consistency to these things that come before and allow for flexibility of council members who need authority to do so, to say, no, I want to talk about it. And they can still do that even with the way it's written now.
Yeah, so going back to what you were saying in terms of remembering what the intent is, right? So I agree, if it's 13-0, nobody has been in opposition of it, and planning gives them what they're asking for, then there's no need for it to come in front of council. At that point, we're just kind of, I don't want to say wasting our time, but if it's 7-6 that planning decides to move forward with, then, like, to your point, it's
You're
kinda
obviously
like-
going to pay more attention to it anyways.
Right.
So
And we have that right. So it may just be me pulling it off,
Right.
right? Or it may just be you.
As
or
long as
that-
that right is retained, and I think that is already secured, because there will be things that come that are unanimous from the staff's recommendation and from planning's vote that you're going to look at and go, no, and you're going to want to pull off. You can do that.
Right.
And then in this, I do think it would be wise to add unanimous
Unanimous.
to it.
Yeah, I think we should restructure this in some way that says, I don't know about the staff recommended, but if you wanted to, you could say, staff recommended, planning approved, no opposition.
Well,
That
But
would,
they could be at different levels, and I think
I
that's an issue
believe
too.
your
One side.
suggestion of striking the words "and staff" is very helpful.
Okay.
Rezonings which have been approved by the planning commission unanimously
Yeah.
and no opposition was present.
I think that,
I will just say, sometimes people don't come to oppose something because they are confused and the members of the public don't know which meeting to go to and go to a different meeting.
so stick with
But
that.
how would you know that?
So I would agree, but think about it this way. We're talking about putting items consent.
Sure.
That dynamic's no different than if it's on the agenda in the regular section of the agenda,
Sure.
right? You're not, if the person doesn't know it's happening, they don't know it's happening on consent, or they don't know if it's happening in the regular thing. So the only difference between this and what we would do in a different way is we'd put it on the regular part of the agenda. Mr. Johnson would read through it. That person, neighbor X, still wouldn't know that it's happening, regardless whether it's on consent or the regular portion. This is about saving time, in a certain sense, from council deliberating things that they don't need to.
And I think it needs to be made clear that council needs to not ignore things that are on consent. And I think that's what's happening, is once it's on consent,
Fair.
everybody's going, hell, it's in red, I don't have to read it.
Fair. Well, I
And
mean, that's,
There's one, and I know the one she's talking about, and the people didn't know who to call. And their zoning got, and they're getting ready to get a whole whopping bunch of tall stuff next to them that they didn't even have a chance to object to. So, and
Okay.
it was the difference
But
between
for
the
the-
planning
but to
and
the-
staff recommendation.
But to the point of former Vice Mayor Smith's point, I think the rewording of this is rezonings which have been approved by the planning commission unanimously and no opposition was present, period. I'm not sure that by making those changes, we've answered what Mr. Johnson was bringing to our attention. And so,
Does it?
does it?
It does not address the applicant part of the equation. Is that changed? If it was changed from what the
I
plan.
agree with what
Yeah.
someone just said here. If the applicant's still unhappy, they can pull it off consent.
And if most of the time, if an applicant is unhappy, they're emailing one of us. Sure.
Yeah, or asking for you to come out
Or
there and
asking for you to
meet.
come out there and meet.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm
What-
still not sure what has been suggested by the law department.
They didn't suggest anything. They wanted clarification about what the desire was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
Councilmember
have
Adams.
a question about since someone here made the point that neither planning nor staff actually approve things, they're both recommending bodies. Do you want to have that word say approved, or do you want to have it say
Well,
recommended?
maybe the word is recommended. Rezonings which have been recommended by the planning commission
What-
unanimously and no opposition.
There should be reference like that in the code somewhere that we should be consistent with.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, I'd also like to ask about this rule. Rezonings which have been approved by or recommended by the planning commission and no opposition was present. Do we mean no opposition signed up at planning commission?
So you will notice the language in black, that is old language. It's been in the rules
Yeah.
for a long time. We have read into that, interpreted it on ourselves to
Yeah.
mean, yes, they're referring to the planning commission meeting.
Okay, okay.
And I assumed that meant not only, that it didn't mean they were physically present, but no opposition was either submitted on because, people submit comments and that is also recorded as opposition.
So if I sent the email and couldn't make it to the meeting that day,
what this was meant to represent.
okay.
Right or wrong, I'm just telling you.
Okay.
This is, Will, correct me if I'm wrong, this is meant to represent someone speaking at the meeting in opposition.
That's what they're recording, you know, to put it on the consent. That's what they're
Right or
noticing.
wrong?
Do you, former Vice Mayor Smith, see an issue with having that presence be seen as both physical or someone commenting on the case file to say, I'm against this for blah, blah, blah?
Some people can't.
Some people
Right, right, I
can't, and
know.
I've seen them submit very articulated,
Yeah.
like, here's the issue that I see with this.
Some people aren't as brave in person as they are online, and so I think I would, for a bunch of reasons, I would suggest maybe we table this for the next meeting and to
Okay. Maybe we come with some suggestions, or if you have some suggestions, some wording, could you,
Yeah.
we've got 2 months
There's,
for you.
there's
And
trade,
that way they're
there's trade-offs
publicly
here, right?
noticed.
There's trade-offs
too.
here. That's to be noticed. And there's
Yeah.
trade-offs here where, you know, by not responding to, by only focusing on people that are present in the room and their opposition and seemingly ignoring the comments online, the objections have been made, you're missing a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Yeah.
At the same time, you can get email in opposition about every single item, no matter what, and so you don't necessarily chew those out loud with everybody else either. So I think we need to think about this, and mostly I think in the context of the other ways you deal with this, where people may have spoken in opposition and didn't show up later. Because there are other circumstances where people come and speak at planning commission in opposition to something and they actually change their mind, believe it or not, and then they don't come again. And so if you made it to where you discussed things that somebody was opposed to in person but didn't there, I don't know, I would think about this one a little bit more because there's trade-offs.
Yeah, and gaps in communication. It's like, you could send an email an hour right before. It's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Now we have opposition via email. And it's like, we don't catch it.
And that's a nightmare for staff as well, because they don't get all those emails, and maybe they do, and they
Okay.
gotta.
I feel like this one is written for those, and they do happen, those cases where it's really, it needs to be done, there's a process to rezone, no one has a problem with it. When you look at the public comments, there's nothing, like, that's what this is written for.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to revisit this discussion at the next one. Okay. All right, so next, Mr. Johnson, where are we now? We're back to these handwritten notes I have here. Well, because we're gonna discuss this at the next, but I would like to ask you folks if maybe we can make one recommendation, unless you want us to wait 2 months. We wanted to change in section 7.563, we wanted to change 5A to memorials and honorary resolutions.
Move
Like,
to,
I feel that that's,
move to approve.
so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Does anybody know where we're at? Underneath Rule 2, Order of Business, 5A becomes memorials and honorary resolutions. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right,
I do have a procedural question on how we want to address this. A member of council has to sponsor an ordinance change. So what member of council is going to sponsor this?
well, how did we do the rules changes last time?
Vice Mayor Fugit.
I'll sponsor it. We'll sponsor it. We'll all sponsor
Okay.
it.
Did you put all their names on it?
We can, yeah. I'm just making
You put my
clear.
name on there.
Can we try, do you want to try to tackle the consent certificate of compliance?
Yeah, I think that we should add that too. Yeah,
If you can come up with the words, it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
you know what the words are, Mr. Johnson.
Do you want to propose it now?
So it would be under resolutions, under consent. So same page,
Which is,
page 3 of 19.
okay.
Like, it literally, it's adding something at the bottom. So,
I will want to confer with Mark Bird to get the right wording on
okay,
that.
do you want to bring it back next time then?
I can,
Okay, so we know we've got a list of at least 3 things for the next time.
but you want me to carry forward and ask Rob Frost to put on the agenda
Sure, why not?
honorary resolutions? Okay?
Yeah, that way you don't have that hiccup. We've had it at least twice
Yeah,
since September 20th, 25.
yeah,
Uh,
we can take it.
it was for Bill Williams. That's where we had to do it,
Yes, I was absent for that meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we're gonna get there. Proposals to amend the rules considered by, but not adopted by Rules of Procedure and Charter Review Task Force. So, Mr. Johnson, what page are we
Yeah,
on
we're
of the
gonna-
packet?
Beginning on page 13, and as the agenda item says, these were some proposals that were brought forward by members of the task force and/or requested by the task force of me to address that we looked at, we considered, but we ran out of time, just to
Okay.
make it really simple.
How about this? In the essence of time, could we go over like each of, because you have quite a number here.
I do, but I think
Okay.
there's an important consideration here. So a number of these proposals are from a member who's not present.
Okay.
And rather than me explaining and putting words in their mouths
Okay.
and being an advocate for something that I don't fully understand, perhaps.
Sure.
This committee might want to consider now and into the future, do you want to invite members of council to appear before you to, advocate for things that they would like to see? Or
Okay.
I don't know what that looks like. This is a new body and perhaps a new process.
Okay. There are 2 members of this committee that were here last time. Did they just never get to these, or do you guys
Yeah.
have comments on
Yeah,
these?
so we discussed some of these at length and some of these, what's the opposite of that? In short.
Sparingly.
Sparingly.
Okay,
And decided that there either wasn't consensus or other reasons we wanted to add this to this committee's consideration.
okay,
What I would suggest, I don't know what time limitations there are today, but one could be that we review these now and we can add a decision on them in the next meeting.
okay.
That would allow for an understanding now, a future discussion, and should other council members or the members of the public want to weigh in on these, they can come to that meeting as part of a regular agenda item.
So, real quick question. This was published as something we were going to discuss today.
Yes.
Okay. I will say, in essence of, regards to time, theoretically, we're here till 4:30. That was the ballpark plan?
That'd be great.
Yeah, just FYI, 4:30. So I don't know that we're gonna get to all of these. If we want to start with the first one, we can. Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I can explain it as best I can. So this was a rule that was proposed by Councilwoman Parker, and it outlined the process of setting up workshops and scheduling them and determining the topics for them and things of that nature. The red line, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was language that maybe was added at a subsequent meeting, but this is a new rule, whole cloth. This is not language that existed prior.
But Mr. Johnson, don't we have something in the rules about any council member can call a public meeting or a workshop?
I'm not familiar with that rule.
I know Mr. Frost told me that it, I'm quite certain. You want me to phone a friend?
Does he take your calls anymore?
He just called me while we were in this meeting. Maybe I could call him and talk to him about this and not what he's calling me about.
Is council going to get billed for this call?
I don't know. Oh, I'll tell him he can't talk to me if he's billing council. Let's see. I'm certain. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
With that said, is there any?
Turn your mic on, sir.
With that said, I think we're in review mode now, so
Sure.
this is about structuring the authority of council to hold workshops, committees, public hearings. The B was about council members shall propose the development of workshops by making a request to the vice mayor. Councilwoman Parker wanted to make sure that there was a noted process for how workshops are developed, whereas there's not now. It's customary in the past, where the vice mayor would poll council members on what workshops do you all want to hold. Everybody would just respond, whatever one's got the highest votes informally. So Councilwoman Parker wanted us to have a formal process to the public. That's what B specifically is about. Item C was about the development of a resolution to request. So it was about, if you're going to propose a resolution, or a public hearing or a workshop or something, that you did so by way of resolution and associated any fiscal impact to it. And then the D is a little more detailed around public hearings and who can call them and what authority there is and what material is presented.
Upon adoption of an approving resolution. What does that mean?
It's-
Or is it
it's-
supposed to be,
It's related to item C, which says, council members shall propose the development of committees by resolution, which outlines the committee's proposed work. So again, it's grouped committees, workshops, and public hearings all in one section about how you call these things or request them.
okay. And Mr. Frost has not looked at these?
I don't know that he has.
Not formally as part of the committee's work
Sure.
or the task force work.
I have a question about how things have worked in the past. I understand how the vice mayor will poll council and ask about, kind of at the beginning of the year, what do you want to have workshops on? Got that. But in the scenario of some hot topic has come up, council is debating this topic, and it becomes clear that there needs to be more dialogue, more information, et cetera, don't we have the ability now to say, I think that this would be a really good workshop?
We have a recent example of that. You have a workshop on April 23rd on the grant process. That was not a topic that we polled you on. The vice mayor scheduled a workshop on the grants on the basis of how much conversation it was getting at council.
Okay. So, and in the history of Mr. Smith and Ms. Ryder, that you were able to do the same thing if there was some topic that you wanted to address and get more
Yeah.
research on?
Generally speaking, it's up to the vice mayor, full stop. So there's a systemic way, which is the polling of topics and kind of, and then there's the, hey, this is an emergency, or this topic bubbled up. You have certain dates that you can have workshops. The vice mayor can call a workshop next Tuesday. Will, you correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of.
Thursdays, but yes,
Thursday, excuse
Yes.
me. Yeah.
it's been a while.
Oh, so if it is important, like, if we as a council or the vice mayor feels like it's important enough, we can prioritize it and just go ahead and schedule it, depending on what it is?
The vice mayor can request a workshop.
Okay.
That's the way it's been, so I'm just telling you.
That's what I was sensing. To me, it seems very corollary to if there's some issue and council recognizes like, oh, we really need planning to do something, or we really need public service to work on something. There's the capacity to say that into,
It behooves the vice mayor to listen to their colleagues when there's a unanimous, or majority opinion of we need to talk about this.
yeah.
So there's inherent incentive to listen to your colleagues and do that. And then there are other things where, for example, the way we changed elections from at-large to district, there was a proposal by then Vice Mayor or Councilmember Roberto to consider, and there was a deadline to get things on the ballot. And so there was a short window that either going to have it or not. And so that was an urgent matter. But to date, it's been up to the Vice Mayor with multiple roads to it.
Okay.
And Councilwoman Parker, along with those and the public hearings, which we don't necessarily specify elsewhere unless librarian Ryder finds it, that the way that, well, it wasn't a jab, it was just an accolade of yours. She was trying to group process publicly for those things here where we don't do elsewhere.
Before we would vote on something like this, I really feel there needs to be a conversation with Mr. Frost, because I had this conversation with him.
Yeah, sure,
And
for sure.
I feel quite confident that any one of you could say, I'm having a meeting, Mr. Johnson is the whatever, what room's available? I'm not saying it's the norm, but you completely have the ability to do it. For example, there are council members who are meeting
This Friday.
tomorrow off-site. You at any time could call a meeting. You can't vote on things. You don't have a quorum. I'm not, yeah, anyway,
Yeah, and just on your comment about asking Mr. Frost to look at, that's a good idea, because when we did the task force for this,
yeah,
anytime there was a substantive change,
yeah.
we would recommend the change. Mr.
Uh-huh.
Johnson would take that and discuss it
through.
with the law department for Mr. Frost, and then bring it back. So we never made a substantive change on the fly in this committee and approved it and brought it to council. We recommended it, Mr. Johnson would go away, come back, and then we would vote on it the next meeting, so.
And they were also sent and submitted to all members of council. Correct? That's what I
Do you
recall.
mean in between meetings of the,
You were telling, I remember we were getting emails all along to say this is the work of the
oh,
committee.
yes,
As part of the minutes, yeah.
yes, yes.
Yes, and do you have any feedback or comments? So you have colleagues that are not here today, and we have the opportunity, and your colleagues would have the opportunity to, I would say what we just voted on the memorials and honorary resolutions is not substantive,
Agreed.
okay?
Hope not.
But when we have some substantive stuff, then, and I would say maybe whatever zoning, yada, yada goes on consent, maybe that gets shopped to, Lloyd and
And-
Parker and your colleagues, and they get to,
Those two ways
Feedback.
there's two feedback loops or notifications at
Yes.
least. One is the minutes are distributed by Mr. Johnson as part of normal procedure. The second is, as we discussed earlier, as part of your council members, one of you all need to give an update from this committee that we made progress, or they're going to meet again, or
Or ask Miss.
I suggest Miss Lauren come to do that, since committee chair did it last time.
she's
So,
hilarious.
Like, I think she should have to do that. So I'm just saying.
every 2 weeks on a Tuesday night, for sure. Yeah.
I think that's acceptable.
Second.
She accepted this gig with a smile on her face. Look at her.
But
She's happy to be here.
But on that note, now
I'm gonna have to get parking. I'm just kidding.
Chair Fugit, now Vice Mayor Fugit, every month, gave an update to council. So I think one of you council
I'm
members.
happy to give an update on
Yeah.
this.
If I'm off on a boat or something, I'll let one of you, I'll let you know. You'll know that I'm not around. How about that? If I choose to show up. Okay, enough of that. If I choose to grace you with my presence.
All right, you want to try to tackle one more?
Sure. So did we tackle this or we're saying?
Well, again, I think we should just review these
Okay,
items.
all right, let's review the next one then.
So the next one is Rule 18. This is the order of debate. This was also proposed by Councilwoman Parker, and it dealt primarily with the debate or statements made by the mayor and/or her staff in the meeting. At present, the comments of the mayor and staff are not timed, and this sought to, well, I'm not sure if that actually addressed the timing so much as it asked the mayor to relinquish the chair if she wished to enter the debate, relinquishing the chair to the vice mayor if the vice mayor had not already spoken in debate, and if he wasn't available, or because he had spoken in debate, giving it up to another member of council. So this created a process by which the mayor could enter debate. And I think it was an attempt to honor the spirit of Robert's Rules of Order, that a presiding officer does not enter the debate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in other words, limiting the mayor's commentary or debate as chair of the meeting, unless the vice mayor hands over his or her role in the debate.
Mike.
Yeah, that was the part that I still have a challenge with, that any council member would hand over their right to debate to the mayor. I don't know a lot of council members that would want to do that.
Do we understand why Part B is struck about members of the public, or?
It was going to be reorganized as a separate rule, is my understanding.
okay.
She addresses it on the next proposal, beginning on page 16.
Okay.
And coincidentally, I'm also recommending that eventually we separate order of debate into two different rules, because at the moment,
Okay.
one concerns only the debate of members, and another section only deals with public debate. I just think organizationally it would work better to be separate.
Okay.
Any questions about the historical context of this?
Of Part A,
Yeah,
is that what you mean?
Councilman Grant.
Well, I was just thinking, so this is in Robert's rules? What's the Robert rule component to this?
Well, the black part is council's rules. Robert's rules would say that the presiding officer does not enter debate unless they want to relinquish the chair, which is what this process outlines, essentially.
Or unless the council members ask the chair a question, or is that an informal?
Well, that could be possible, yeah, to ask a question, so long as it wasn't getting into debate. You know, asking for information is one thing. Asking the opinion of the chair is a different.
I think that's a blurry line in all things, but.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say, I think in the essence of time, we're gonna have to come back to this, for sure.
We need to talk about when the next meeting would be.
Okay. Okay, real quick, can we go on to what we're gonna do an overview real quick because there's more here, right?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so the next one, on page 17 of the packet, referral to committee or workshop drafted by a city recorder upon request of task force. Was this something?
This is something that I was asked to draft for the task force.
Okay.
We were trying to address how a report would be made by a committee and whether or not the majority on that committee had, endorsed that report of the, that's essentially what this is. And this language was taken almost directly from Robert's Rules of Order. I'm just copying and pasting language.
Okay. Proposed ordinance or referred to the appropriate committee or?
That's not new language. That's
Yeah,
existing
no, it's
language.
existing. I just was trying to think of when this came to play. To which, okay. Only what has been agreed to by the majority vote at a regular properly called meeting. That's just clarity, right?
It is, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. I think, all right, let's go on to the next one. I think we'll come back to that. I don't feel well-versed enough and studied up on it. And then the next is a whole bunch of highlighted.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
my proposal to separate Rule 18 into its constituent parts. So Rule 18 would be the debate of members. A new Rule 19 would be the debate or public comment. There is new language, that is highlighted language. It's not necessarily adding new concepts. It is providing structure to make the rules internally consistent and comprehensive.
Okay, so for clarity here, we have edits to Rule 18 and edits to Rule 19 drafted from you, from the committee, but then we also have versions from Councilwoman Parker.
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
they're separate proposals. They would have difficulty being both adopted.
Okay.
Also separated at the decorum rules.
Okay.
Having its own separate section.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So how about this? In the essence of time, we're gonna have to spend some time working on these, and I'm gonna have to work with Mr. Johnson and maybe have some review for Mr. Frost before we dive into those, because we've got some give and take on both. Before we totally run out of time, the next one question that we do have to declare is when we are meeting. When we first chose this date for this meeting, the conversation was that this meeting is opposing to audit committee. So those of you who are on audit committee are meeting whatever months, and this meets the other months. So the question is, maybe we're gonna meet every other month on the third Thursday? That's what this is?
Yes.
Does this work for folks? And so if that works for you, the next meeting of this committee would be May 21st. So I don't know. And then, hang on, I'm gonna look.
That would be, that is also going to be coincide with the city council workshop. I don't have a topic. No, I
Okay.
do. It's actually going to be corridors.
Oh,
So this meeting could dovetail quite nicely with that.
you just,
That's what the task force did. The task
the
force.
task force used to do this, the beer board than council. With no chicken fingers in there.
When I see red, I get excited.
It is, it's amazing how well that's worked. Can you imagine how long the meetings would be now without that?
May 21st works for me.
No, I'm on vacation, so I'm not.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Good for you.
Beach, sorry.
Good for you.
I do not know yet, but I would put it in as most likely.
Okay, okay.
Would it start at the same time?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So if we know that we're short, Ms. Helsley, Councilwoman Helsley, are you gone that entire week?
A quorum is 3, for what it matters.
Okay, all right.
The school get out on the 21st and the 22nd.
My calendar says that's a half day. It's the last day, half day.
21st.
So that's up to you if that matters.
Yeah, this is my problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't like it either.
You don't like it either.
Can we go to 14?
Yeah.
Could we do the 14th? I could do the 14th.
Just for this particular month, and then
We could play around with others. Mr. Johnson, do you have feelings?
The only feeling I have is I will need to secure a room, and this will be subject to room availability. So it may not be in this room.
Would that be at 3 o'clock again?
Is that possible? Is that possible?
Your feelings are so important.
What about the room's feelings, not Will's feelings?
Is that painful?
Did you hear what Councilwoman Helsley just suggested to do it before council meeting?
Oh, you don't like that? Well, I wasn't that crazy about it.
I mean, the first, we have dinner. What are we talking about?
They might have to feed us and we're too hungry.
Okay, well,
We're going with the 14th.
Okay,
14th from 3 until 4:30?
Can y'all do that?
okay.
Okay.
I will check on a room availability.
Councilwoman Helsley, we're not letting you out of this conversation.
Thought I got the week off.
Okay.
Now I don't. It's okay, I'm here.
Wahaha. Okay. On that note, if no one has anything else, we'll adjourn this meeting.